Hey, everybody. We are here, Tracie Schmidt, and I am with Yasmine. Yasmine, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Yasmine Austere. I work primarily in the San Francisco East Bay, and I've been a realtor for 26 years now.
26. Oh my goodness. We're about the same time. I've been in the mortgage business for 27. So we're right at that mark together. So we have a lot of years of experience. We'll just put it that way. Too many to like say out loud, I think. So today we want to talk about two things. We want to talk about thankfulness because we're nearing the holiday. And we want to talk about overwhelm, right? Because in our business, real estate and mortgage, it can be really overwhelming for people, for both buyers and sellers. So as usual, I'm going to ask you your two questions, and then I'm going
Okay.
to get into a little bit about interest rates, which isn't a ton of great information, but we're going to go there. So first, we're going to talk about kind of overwhelmed. So I know sometimes it's a competitive market. You want to be able to align buyers with offering something on a home that you think the seller will accept, but it also needs to stay within their budget. So how do you have a conversation with them about that? How do you craft those offers, to be able to meet what you think the seller is going to want versus what the buyer needs?
So there are different approaches we can take. So let's just say first-time home buyers, they qualify for, $800,000 house. I don't want to go to the 2.5 million. Let's just keep it simple. And, they know that we will have 4 or 5 offers because they are writing an offer in a very desirable area. We know the top is 800. So I would come to you or I would send them to their lender and say, how can we get creative on the financing? Can we maybe do a rate buy down? Or can we go to a different loan program that will, still on the back end, there will be some consequences, but those are short term and
Right.
we can get them to the highest possible price. So the rate buy down is one way, or we can ask, sometimes depending on how competitive it is, we could ask for sellers to credit back some closing
Yeah.
costs or, you know, any other things that we might see in reports where we can say, okay, we'll get a financial credit to make up for some of the repairs that might be needed that then will help offset
Yeah. Yeah,
the.
and that's really the conversation I have with buyers when you refer them over to me in the beginning is, providing options and structuring it. So if they say, I have a total of $40,000 to work with, well, we have to assume your down payment plus the closing costs and, structure the financing and the loan program and the down payment amount to match the money that they have, right? And what's comfortable for them. And then passing that on to you once they're pre-approved and you structuring the offer in a way that will put their best foot forward, but stay within the numbers that they're comfortable with. And so that's why it's so important to work with a team, right? You and I are a team together. I would say a couple of terms for buyers out there that you could ask about: a 3-2-1 buy down, right? A 2-1 buy down or a 1-0 buy down. So, if you're working with a lender, you can ask your lender about those different programs. If you're not, and you want to learn more, that's something I could definitely talk to buyers about. So
I love that. And I would like for everybody who's listening to this to really connect with Tracie on, these buy down options, because sometimes we think that the internet, provides all the information, but Tracie is just amazing. And, since we've been working together, it's just, I have learned so much more about lending and options and how to be more creative with my lender.
yeah.
Typically you bang your head against a wall when the clients come with a lender and nobody wants to be flexible. And,
Yeah.
then I'm like, okay, kind of, maybe we should consider something different.
Yeah,
I always try and find the best possible rates for my clients and the best possible service. So
absolutely.
I'm grateful to work with you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. See, gratefulness. We talked about that and thankfulness. So now we're thankful, of course, for our clients, for our buyers and our sellers, but let's get back to that overwhelming part. So, there's obviously different markets that you work in and that you specialize in. And so how do you educate sellers about market nuances without overwhelming them, right? So like you meet with a seller and they're in a certain market and you want to obviously give them as much information as possible, but you don't want to spit everything out at them at once and overwhelm them. So how do you kind of deal with those conversations with the sellers?
So the market has been up and down throughout the year. First, I mean, there's not enough inventory, then there's inventory, but the interest rates are too high. And of course, many sellers still live in the rearview mirror.
Mhm.
During COVID, it was just kind of nobody really needed to prep a house. Everybody's just, happy and doubling their money. And
Yeah.
then after, from one day to another, it goes to houses sitting for 90 days. And
Mhm.
what I do with my sellers, I really, really talk to them about their personal goals. Where do you really want to be? And the overwhelm comes into place when a seller says, well, 5 houses sold in the neighborhood and they were at this price, and I want to sell my house at that price. So then coming up with a plan on comparing those properties to the subject property and identifying, well, what will we need to do? And
Yeah.
after we do that, where is your guarantee to even get that based on what the current market is? So I very gentle provide them with, what's been happening in the market, where are we
Yeah.
going, and where do you want to position yourself? So
Well, also too, it's so important for sellers, right, to stage their home correctly or
mm,
to make sure there's no clutter. And so I mean, if I was selling my house, right, I would not want someone to come in and be like, you have to move all your stuff and change this and do that and bake cookies and right. So you have to like work with someone that's going to have the vision, know the market really, really well like you do in the Bay Area and understand what are the things that you could do that cost the seller the least amount of money but have the biggest impact when they're listing their home. So that's so, so important for people. And I don't think real estate agents, I work with a lot of them, obviously, and I think that it takes a special person to really listen, right? And not spew 25 years of experience on someone and overwhelm them, really listen to what they want. So I appreciate that you do that with your clients.
Yes, I absolutely do. And there, I'm not an agent who, goes in with the same approach. There are times where I say, I really don't think that staging will make a difference.
Yeah.
Or, this is a gem and we can keep some of the furniture and we'll do partial staging, or let's not do staging and focus on doing something different. But, it really is, or this is a fixer. So let's just make it, clean it up and sell
Yeah.
it as is, because no investment will really change that. But in general, I love to help my clients get ready for, to have that house
So
staged.
fun.
And
I love it. And so I wish we had better news about interest rates, right? We keep waiting, but there is another Fed announcement in December. And so right now it's always a slow time of year with the holidays, right? So we don't have a ton of economic news that's coming out, but they did say yesterday that they anticipate an announcement by the Fed again in December and potentially lowering the federal funds rate again by about 25 basis points. So there's not really a ton of excitement. I think people were waiting for the election to happen. Now we know who the incoming president will be. Now we have to wait to see, who are his nominees, who's going to get the position, what's going to happen, what policies will go into place, how that'll affect the market, because we know the stock market, right, bonds, those things are the treasuries are what actually impacts interest rates.
right.
And so there's just a lot of up in the air what ifs. I always tell people if you're still thinking about buying, let's do a comparison. Let's do today's rate versus it going down 1%. Let's look at the difference in payment and still get you into a home with the idea of potentially refinancing down the road. So, that's been my message for as long as I've been a mortgage lender, regardless. I've sold 16% rates back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, like when I very first started, there was no regulation in the cost of getting a loan. So it would be 10 points, 16%. And but of course prices were 200,000 then, so it was a little bit different. But there's people are always looking to buy and they always need to sell. Life happens, life changes. So, and if you're renting a home and your kitchen is tiny and you're like frustrated because you're trying to cook Thanksgiving dinner for 20 people, talk to us, get into a home next Thanksgiving, right?
Yes, I would love that.
We would love to do that. Well, enjoy time with your family.
Thank you.
Yasmine, it's always such a pleasure, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week. Happy
Okay.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.